Welcome to the One Player Podcast, the show on solitaire board games. I'm your host Albert, and this is episode 348.
Hey, Albert, what is the worst crime in the Tree Kingdom?
The worst crime in the Tree Kingdom?
Yes.
It's if you leave.
No, it's treason.
Oh my gosh, that's even worse. Yes, Tree Son. Oh yeah, that's worse than leafing.
Hello, Albert. How are you doing today?
Great, Julius. How are you doing?
Doing okay. Making it day by day.
I am reorganizing my game room here. I got a new shelf, and so I've taken all the games off the old shelf, and then I got to empty a file cabinet and then put the things back in, and it's a big mess.
It does look like a mess.
Yeah. So before we talk about today's game, we're going to resolve the contest for the Last Lighthouse, which kicked off, gosh, I don't know, about a month ago because we do things slow around here. And this is a contest where I was giving away a Button Shy game from the Simply Solo series by Scott Alms because I had an extra. And I told folks, all you got to do to enter is send me an email or a geek mail or anything and tell me about your favorite lighthouse. And then you're entered. And I received a total of 6 entries, which is really exciting. And at least one non-entry where somebody still told me about their favorite lighthouse. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of give you a quick summary of the 6 entries and then pick a winner. And since it's 6 of them, I could roll a d6, and that makes it nice and easy. I have a lighthouse d6 somewhere, but I can't find it. So it's just a regular d6 probably. Sorry. So the first entrant is Julie. Her favorite lighthouse is one along the river in her town. It's actually not a real lighthouse. It's a small one about 10 feet tall. And it's a popular meeting place. And people go there like, I don't know, before dances and stuff for time immemorial. So that was that one. The second one is from Anne. It is the Breakwater in Lewes, Delaware. It is gosh, I looked this up a long time ago. I already forgot all the details, but that's hers. Dave likes Eddystone Rock. So there's actually there has been 4 lighthouses at Eddystone Rock. The older ones have all been burnt down and destroyed. One of them, the second one, killed its 94-year-old innkeeper from lead inhalation, apparently. so it's been around for a while. That was interesting. The third one was the East Point Lighthouse. Excuse me, the East Point Lighthouse from Montana. And Montana wrote how they did a lot of hitchhiking in their 20s and found this lighthouse at the far east point of Prince Edward Island. And at that point, you had to just get a ride there. Now it's apparently a lot more touristy. And they camped there for a few days, which sounds really cool. Joseph talked about the BioShock lighthouse. I've heard of the game BioShock. I did not know there's a lighthouse.
That would have been a good thought. I wish I had thought of that.
Oh, and then finally, Ryan liked Tennant's Harbor Light. It features prominent. This was interesting. It features prominently in the paintings by Andrew and Jamie Wyeth, very famous American painters. And as a matter of fact, there is a collection of theirs here in Greenville in our local fine art museum. And looking through their online collection of it, there's at least one painting at the lighthouse. It didn't show the lighthouse itself, but I could tell it was there because it showed one of the buildings, a bell tower. So that was kind of neat. I'm looking forward to going back to that museum now and looking for more images of the lighthouse, because not only have they painted there, they apparently own the lighthouse, which I thought was pretty amazing. So there we go. That was the 6 entries. I also had a non-entry from Milokai, who told me about his fairy lighthouse, which is from a story, a Polish story, about a man who left Poland and could not return and was really sad and missed Poland. And then he got a job working in Panama at a lighthouse. And a book showed up from Poland, and he read it and started daydreaming, fell asleep, and there was an accident and a boat sank because he slept during his watch. And so he got fired. So it was kind of a sad tale there featuring a lighthouse. I really enjoyed this contest. I really enjoyed all these stories. I thought that was a lot of fun, and I appreciate everybody that sent me a message. I really enjoyed reading them all. So now let's find a D6 because I have so many. Here's one. We're gonna roll it. I'm gonna open this little box, and I roll a 5, which means the winner is Joseph. Congratulations, Joseph, and the BioShock Lighthouse. I will reach out to you after I publish this episode and get your mailing address and all that, so I can send it off to you. And thank you everyone else for entering. Back to the regular scheduled episode, Julius. So today we're talking about a lighthouse game, right?
No, we're not talking about Lighthouse game, although that would have
Ah.
been a fun thing if we could have added it in. I don't think I've even seen Lighthouse in this game, which perhaps surprises me a little bit. We are going to be discussing Kingdom Legacy Feudal Kingdom.
Okay, that's a funny name.
Um, I believe that the reason why they did that is because the idea is that Kingdom Legacy is the overarching core system, and Feudal Kingdom is just this one box.
Okay, and so I'd never heard of this game before.
Probably not. This is one that is criminally underrepresented right now. This is a game from Frix Games. It's a legacy game in a single deck box by Jonathan Frixelius. In Kingdom Legacy Feudal Kingdom, you have this feudal kingdom. You have an actual kingdom in a little deck box, a set of cards where what it is you're going to be playing through the game. Essentially, you're going to shuffle up. You're starting with a tiny little deck of just, I think it's like 10 cards to start off with. And each turn, you're going to be dealing out a set of 4 cards, and you can choose to take any actions. The idea of the game is that you're going to be upgrading them. So if you're familiar with like Palm Island or Maiden's Quest, each card technically has 4 cards printed on it, top, bottom, and then reverse it, top, bottom. And so you'll upgrade the cards by spending the resources that you get from other cards, and you continue to upgrade it, and you'll go through your deck, and you'll keep going on it over and over and over again until you have the most amount of points in your deck possible. And then you get to record your deck and all of its points and assume that you did a really good job for the game. So that is the very broad overview for this tiny little game.
And it's a legacy game, you said.
It is a legacy game. The components that are legacied, I suppose for lack of a better word, are it comes with stickers. You have the ability to do an introductory game. You can play through the first 10 or so rounds without having to actually put on any stickers and without having to actually mark anything down. But once you get past those, you're instructed to actually destroy stuff, mark stuff down, add stickers, write on your cards, etc. Do all of the fun legacy stuff. So yeah, it's very much a legacy game. It is a
Oh, okay.
solo only legacy game.
So okay, cool. So then next you're going to tell us about the components, and I think you've already basically told us the components, right? Cards and
Well,
stickers.
I mean, there's cards and stickers in a single deck box. That is really all that it is. Usually for components, though, I talk about how nice the components are.
Mm-hmm.
So let me talk
Mm-hmm.
a little bit about that. Um, I'm actually really impressed with the components. It is a single deck box. I'm going to just front load this, by the way, by saying that the game is $13, available directly from Frix Games. That is it. It comes with a single deck box, and it's full of cards. The cards all have icons on them, and in fact, if you want, you can go to the kingdomlegacygame.com, and there's a fact for every single card, or a full explanation for every single card in case you get confused about it, as well as a picture of every single card. But all of the cards have nice graphic art with them. I like how with the cards in general, you have the idea of an evolution that they have for them. So, for example, there's a headquarters, and the art kind of matches to see how something grows over time. So you can see how the headquarters still has the same roof structure as it goes to a town hall, and then a similar sort of background and style even when it goes to a keep. And then the keep growing to the castles maintains a similar art style. It's the same thing also by many of the different characters that you have in the game. So you'll have like a vagabond type character who, when he's just a vagabond, he's got this wry smile, but then you can upgrade him to be a merchant, so he gains merchant skills. Or you can upgrade him to a farmer, so he gains farmer tools. And a lot of the time, the art just sort of matches and the same theme and element across it. The art is all good quality, it all evokes the sort of theme that it's going for, and all of the icons are very clear. Granted, there's not that many icons involved in the game, but all the icons are very clear. It's easy to be able to tell what stuff is, how stuff works, and what stuff does, with perhaps maybe one exception, but it's really not that important. Some of the cards have banners at the top, either a black set of arrows or a little stone icon. The black set of arrows are when you draw them from your legacy deck, you get to pick whichever side it is. Normally, as you're playing through the game, you are barred from ever choosing, excuse me, you're barred from ever just randomly flipping over a card. When you draw these from the legacy deck, you are allowed to pick which side is that you want, and it's denoted by having that black icon at the top of it. The black icons don't look great. It's just sort of there for the rest of the game. It doesn't serve much of a purpose. I guess it's an efficient method of doing it, but it is what it is. The other one that is a point to note is that there are permanent cards. These are cards that stay in play, as opposed to the majority of things which just go in your deck. These ones have a small stone bar that goes at the top. It's easy to find these cards if you're shuffling through your deck, but you'll have to shuffle through your deck to be able to find them. It's a good thing that they never are supposed to get shuffled into your deck, but certainly for some of them, if you don't notice that they're not supposed to be shuffled in, then they may get shuffled into your deck, and you may just never notice those. I don't know why they didn't decide for something to make that a little bit more distinct as opposed to just a bar at the top. For the cards that come the first time through and you're running through the game, the cards themselves do look distinct, but some of the other cards look less distinct because they have full art to them and are not just a giant track with things that you have to mark down and write down. They look like the rest of the stuff in it. So then it's a little bit harder to note. It is what it is. It's a method of iconizing it. It makes sense. It works. I just wish it were a bit more distinct so that you don't miss it. Fortunately, I didn't miss it, so it's not a problem for me.
That all sounds interesting. I'm looking at the pictures on BGG. There are not many examples, unfortunately. I wish there was a lot more. There's a total of, I think, like 10 or maybe 20 cards pictures. How many did you say the game brings?
140, I do believe.
Oh, okay, yeah. And all these are the ones I'm looking at are numbered 1 through 10. So maybe they're just the first 10 cards or something. It looks pretty.
Well, again, if you were interested, you could theoretically look at the website because the website has every single card on it.
Oh, you did mention that. Yeah, look at that. There's those banners that you mentioned, the stones along the top and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is permanent. Extremely handy for that website. We'll mention that when we get to rules, if we want to move straight to rules right now.
Yeah, let's do that. I don't think there's anything else specific we need to say about the components. So there's one picture in BGG of a card that looks different. It looks like a map, and it mentions Nessie. Stealing from Nessie, free the village, Siren's Cave, Fountain of Youth. It's a permanent card, start of round. Is this a spoiler or something?
Well, I will note that the one you're looking at says teaser, one of the main cards of Feudal Kingdom Adventures expansion.
Okay, so, never mind then.
Yeah, I've never seen that one either.
Sorry. You haven't seen it. Move along.
Happily.
Yeah. Let's talk about the rules then.
So, discussing the rules. The rules are a one-page back and front document that describe how you play through and what is the basic icons. So the front side is the rules, the back side is more about the icons and sort of edge cases. I will say the rules mostly explain things with one big issue. Many rule books have the bulk of the rules covered in the actual paragraphs, and then off to the side in like boxes are the quick summaries so that you can know how to play if you're playing, repeating the game again later. So it's easy to pick it up again. They made the choice in this to list 5 golden rules in boxes along the way with the other one. These golden rules are not mentioned in the paragraphs, at least not that I understood them mentioned.
Oh.
They are 5 golden rules that are extremely important to be able to understand to play the game. And if you're the sort of person who just reads the paragraphs and assumes that those boxes don't exist, or that they're references, or that they're repetitious, and not that they're the very important things that you have to read, you will miss them. I don't know why they decided that. Perhaps I would have done that a little bit differently, but I didn't, and they didn't, and that we are where we're at. Read those rules.
I can see what you're saying. Yeah, I would assume that was a sidebar, and I'd get to it later.
Yeah,
no. Make reading it was confusing. I think yeah, if it's critical, make it bold or something, right? That's more consistent. But I
Or
mean,
just
whatever.
list the 5 golden rules as you're going through them in the block text of the text.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I assumed those sidebars were sidebars, and so therefore the first time I had an issue with the game, I went and posted and someone said, hey, that is the golden rule. The specific one I had was that if I tried to upgrade and then hold a card in play, and it says in one of the golden rules, you can't do that. If you're ever upgrading, it has to be discarded. You can't keep it. So I said,
Oh.
oh, well, then I wish I had read the golden rules specifically. So I went back and read the golden rules. Not a big issue, just something to be aware of when you understand the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Now then, that is the rules. So the rules describe, for the most part, how you play the game, how you go through stuff. It's mostly fine. The game is cards, and the cards differ and have some complexities and some differences. And so there were definitely some cards that I tried to understand, well, wait, how is this working? What exactly does this do? Fortunately, they have taken every single card and put every single card on the website and explain to you exactly how it works. Um, it is very well done. It's great, amazing. You have the ability to look up a full explained, like, the card will say, hey, I'm going to give you like 2 lines of text. And then on the website it says, here, I'm going to give you a paragraph of text. Make it very clear, plenty of words to explain to you what it is that this does. So useful, very nice for it. Some of it is absolutely repetitious. Like, it will tell you, oh, this icon means this. And if you would have looked at the rules, it would have easily told you that. None of the cards are particularly difficult to understand, especially after it's just explained to you like one more time. But having that reference, this is a pure solo game. This is a pure legacy solo game. Being able to reference the cards and just check one more time just to make sure that your understanding is correct was an invaluable asset to me. Very much appreciate the fact that this website exists. Very helpful.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, it has a you can look at every single card. There's a menu, and you pick the card number from 0 to 139, and it'll show you pictures of all the sides and have the text. Card 0 is even like the welcome game is just a start card, and even take the time to put that card in there in detail. That's really thoughtful, and that's a lot of effort and information for something that people may not notice, but really it's invaluable.
Yeah.
I wish more people did this.
I was kind of wondering, like, they have all of the card art here already digitized. Like, I'm surprised they weren't a little worried. Hey, someone's just going to copy it all and print it themselves. I
Yeah,
guess that's just
and
not a
I
concern.
guess you could do that, but man, that's a lot of effort
That's a ton of
for a
effort, but it's
$13
not worth it.
game. Yeah,
But
what are you gonna do?
I'm
You'll spend more money to print it out yourself.
I'm glad they are supporting it because I think it's extremely good that they did it. So I'm happy they did it. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So that is all about the rules. Shall we move on to theme?
Yep.
So the theme of this game is that you are the lord boss on high of a feudal kingdom, and you are growing up your kingdom from mere plains into full-on cities and taverns and a whole kingdom that you're making up. It matches just fine. All of the theme, the art, the mechanics, the components, everything seems to match it. So really, no particular comment on the theme.
Yeah. It looks. Yeah. I mean, it looks very thematic. It's a light game. The art's all pretty.
So, shall we move on to the gameplay?
Yes, please.
So, with the gameplay of this game, if you're familiar with games like Palm Island, or the one that this really made me think of is Maiden Quest, but you have 4 cards printed on a single card. So, top, bottom, and then you flip it over and you have the top and the bottom again. Each of those cards is generally going to have a couple of things on it. The first thing it's going to have at the top left is it's going to have the amount of production. So, for example, when you discard it, it'll have a coin on it, or it'll have a wood on it, or whatever have you. If you discard it, it'll produce that amount of production. You just have to keep track of that in your head. And fortunately, you don't have to keep track of it for very long, because if you do anything other than use the production goes away. So it's not that hard to keep track of. Fortunately, you can just keep them out and not discard them for their protection until you use them, and then they're right there in front of you. So it's all good. The next common thing that it has is going to be the upgrade cost. The whole idea of this game is that you are trying to upgrade the cards, because as you upgrade the cards, you get access to better resources, better cards. You discover stuff from the discovery deck, things like that. So each of the cards will have a box that shows the cost to upgrade the card. So, for example, the Distant Mountains costs 2 coins to upgrade it. When you spend those 2 coins by discarding 2 other cards with production of two coins, you then get to flip the card over and move it over to its rocky area side. And now on future turns, it can produce rocks, or you can discard it and spend another coin to produce 2 rocks. And so now it's even better. So you keep upgrading it, keep sending those resources. Typically, upgraded cards are going to be worth points in your deck. So this one that I'm talking about here, you upgrade from Rocky Area to Quarry, and then you upgrade Quarry to a Shallow Mine. And now a Shallow Mine is worth 3 points in your deck. And you're trying to have your deck be worth as much points as you can by the end of the game. The mine also has a destroy ability. Many cards are going to have destroy ability, but you can just tear up the card to do a certain thing. In this case, you can tear it up and it says discover mine 8485. So you'll have your deck that you're running through. And if something says discover, you can reach into the legacy deck, the deck of cards that you're not currently using, to be able to pull out cards from that deck. As this one says, destroy it to discover a mine. You can reach into the discovery deck, pull a card 84, add it to your deck, and voila, your deck has grown or potentially just changed into cooler, differenter types of stuff. Now, I'm going to try and not do as much spoilers as I can for things, as much as is possible. So I'm not going to tell you about the stuff that the mine does, but it says discover a mine, so you get a mine. Sometimes those things are a little bit tricky because it says like discover border, discover shore, discover person, things like that. And then once you start discovering people, are like, oh.
Yeah, and if you really want the spoilers, go to the website, look up Card 84. You'll know exactly what it does.
I mean, or just
Yeah,
play the game and pull out the card, and then you get
spoilers. Or play the game. Yeah, but yeah, don't depend on. There's no need to spoil this game because it's all online.
Yeah, sure. So, but like sometimes you do a thing and you're like, oh, well, I didn't guess that it would have done that. And it does, and it's fun. Those things are enjoyable little surprises as you're playing through the game. I don't feel like you're missing out particularly when you do those kind of things, but they are enjoyable little surprises as you're playing through the game. So that is the cards that you're playing through for the most part. Now, then some other cards have other interesting effects. The rules call out that some cards can block other cards, or some cards can interplay with other cards, or give you bad negative effects. There are going to be enemies that you'll have throughout the course of the game. You're going to have people with swords that you're going to have, so you'll use the swords to fight off the enemies if you have the resources for it. Things like that are going to be coming through the deck. The game takes about 6 hours to play through a single time.
Wow.
Each turn, you're going to be drawing 4 cards from your deck and playing them out and using those cards to discard for resources, take other actions, upgrade your cards. If you want, you can draw 2 cards each time, but that means you're going to go through your deck a bit faster. And your goal is to each use your deck in the most efficient way possible to be able to upgrade the most amount of cards possible. So you'll draw those 4 cards, upgrade a card, discard everything, and do it again. Draw 4 cards, upgrade a card, discard everything, do it again, and keep going through that till you've gone through your deck. Once you've gone through your whole deck, that will end a single round. At that point in time, you will discover the next 2 cards from the legacy deck. So the legacy deck is in order, and there's going to be cards going all the way up to card 70 that theoretically you'll go through over the course of the whole game and discover and figure out what those cards do and what sort of interesting stuff it is that the cards will tell you to do. I'm not going to spoil any of those because there was definitely a bunch of surprises when I was discovering those, and sometimes I would pull out cards and be like, oh, that's neat. That's very interesting that it comes out and does a thing. So those things were fun, so I'm definitely not going to spoil any of that. But you play through it. Every round, you're pulling out another 2. which will increase the size of your deck. So by the end of it, your deck is relatively large. And you go through the whole deck a final time and you complete it. And it says, hey, you have finished, you've completed your kingdom, total up your points, write it on your side, register it online to show everyone that you have a cool deck and that you've experienced the whole deck. The game comes with 3 built-in expansions. So the expansion here is essentially extra rounds. The 3 built-in ones are kind of short rounds, but there's other expansions you could purchase online if you wanted. But it gives you a couple extra rounds, and especially towards the end of the game, a round is quite large. When you already have like a 50, 60 size deck, your rounds take a lot longer than the beginning of the game when your rounds took you 10 minutes. So with those expansions, you will pull out one of the expansion cards from your legacy deck, because the end of the game tells you about this as well as the rules, and follow the rules to purge some of your deck to make your deck a little bit smaller, and then run through your deck again with some slightly different rules, slightly different interactions, slightly different stuff going on, interesting things happening. You run through your deck another time with those expansions, and then theoretically the game says, okay, you're done again, unless you get more expansions or run a different expansion of the box or something like that. But then you're done. You have a deck, and that's it. It's about done. The game doesn't replay. You need to add more cards to be able to have more stuff going on, or just buy another copy, I guess. But yeah, they've said they're going to continue coming out with expansions. They have available online 2 other expansions that you could theoretically go get to be able to play it for even longer, even more time. So they have merchants and they have the adventures that Albert has referenced. I haven't played either merchants or adventures, so I don't know what's in those. I don't own a copy of those. I just got this one.
Hmm.
One of the things, so I really enjoy the gameplay of it. It is not very heavy, not very complicated, but still feels like it has a lot of good decisions about which way it is that you want to go, especially as you realize some of the cards sort of have multiple paths, and some of the cards have decisions about, do you want to hold on to it to use an ability, or do you want to go ahead and upgrade it to get cooler abilities next time because you have the ability to do so now? Do you want to spend progressing on certain overarching goals, some of those permanent goals? Do you want to go ahead and spend it upgrading cards and make your deck better? There's a fair number of decision space in a relatively simple aspect. One of the neatest things to me was discovering those 2 cards every round. The game says that you can pause the game after any round just by inserting your whole deck into your deck, followed by the rules cards to show where you're up to in the discovery deck. And then when you're done, take the deck out, shuffle it, discover 2 cards, and set yourself to going. I really enjoyed discovering those 2 cards. They often did something interesting. They were different. They were neat. And even if they weren't, it was frankly just another opportunity to run through my deck, upgrade a little bit more, eke a little bit more out of it. This game felt like, eating chips. Just want to do one more round, one more round, one more round. I very rarely, a lot of the time for a good book, I've gotten into a good book and I just start reading it, and all of a sudden I find myself and it's 3 a.m. and I'm like, where did the time go? Okay, one more chapter and
Wow.
I'll read one more chapter before I go to sleep or something on those lines. And I found myself doing that with this game, where I would finish a round and I'd say, okay, just one more round. And I discovered 2 more cards. I go to get just one more round, just one more round, just one more round. And I found myself just wanting to play another round after another round. I didn't time exactly how long it took me to do the whole thing. It felt like it was longer than 6 hours to do the whole thing, just for me personally. Other people may find it to be different. I have no idea. But it felt like it was a weighty period of time that I was playing through the whole game. And that's 6 hours, by the way, without the expansions. So it felt like it was a weighty amount of time to be playing through the game. It felt like it had a good stay to it. And at the same time, it just rushed its way through because I just kept playing one more. It was
Yeah,
addicting
just one more
almost.
round.
Just one more round. Just that feeling of one more round was so enticing.
Yeah, because it's fast. One round isn't that going to take that long, right? It'll be
You think
fast.
that. You think that.
And then 3
But
rounds later, it's man.
exactly.
This reminds me of video games that I used to play. It's like a lot of the like Age of Civilization type games like that. So I'll just do one more round and then I'll go to bed. And yeah, that would keep me up for hours.
Yeah.
That's what keeps me away from playing video games. So now you got me a little scared about this game.
Oh, I hear you. I definitely hear you because that is exactly what happened with this one. Is I just kept doing one more round, and it just kept going, just kept going. And one point I was like, okay, we just got to stop and hold it till another day. Just save, push
Hmm.
the save button, and save it for another day, and it'll be okay.
Yep,
Um, and by the end of it, you start to develop a feeling of your game because sort of sometimes it feels like, yeah, I really at the beginning I'm like, I super need to have coins. Then at the end I'm like, I don't need coins anymore. I super need wood or metal or whatever it is. Sort of your kingdom has a feel to it about how you developed it, how you've made it. And the kingdom feels very much yours by the end of it. Feels like it's going to be something unique and mine. So that's neat. That's just neat.
that is really neat. Yeah, boy, this sounds fun. Actually, I really want to
Yeah.
try it.
I mean, here let me give you the little bit of a bummer behind it.
Mm-hmm.
The game is not available easily in the US. In order to get a copy of the game, you have to order it all the way. Yeah, the only place I know of to get it is ordering it from Frix Games directly. So the game is $13. Shipping was kind of close to like $10 ish. And yeah,
Mm.
so unfortunately, it's a tiny little box. They have said that this is sort of an experiment to them. They have said that they're considering what they're going to scale up with it based on responses, things like that. Um, I I I rarely call on people to go talk to the publisher, but go talk to the publisher. If I've said anything to make you interested in this game, go talk to the publisher. Go tell them that they need to get this out of the US. They need to continue doing expansions for this. They need to continue upgrading it. I'd love to see other themes for this. It feels like they could do Kingdom Legacy, where they do, they can do an island colony, where they could do sci-fi ones. Like having the same thing with different cards, different layouts, different ideas going through this. I'm fully in on this. And if I've made you sound at all interested in this, either go get if you're willing to go get a copy all the way over from Frix Games, over the seas, which I
In the
did,
UK, yeah.
you could do that. Or just go reach out to them and say, hey, we would really like for this to be available in the US because it sounds really cool. And Julius their podcast really sold it. You don't need to say that. That's fine. I'm just saying go tell them. It sounds it if I made it sound really cool, it's because it is really cool. It is very addictive. It's a tiny little box game with a whole bunch of stay power to it, a whole bunch of excitement to it, and I think it's worth adding, worth playing through. It's just hard to get right now, and if we can, convince them that they need to be able to come get it to the U.S. because there's plenty of people who would get it, then I hope that they'll be able to get it to the U.S. Otherwise, just add it to your wish list and hope it gets here available. I guess that's a thing you can do too, but push it. We need to get this to the US because it is amazing. It was great. It was an excellent experience and I highly recommend it.
Yeah. Now the base game plus the two expansions with shipping cost $40 to the US. And that was only $12 for $11.17 for shipping, so not too bad. The rest of the cost is the game plus the two expansions.
Yeah. And I imagine with the two expansions, I imagine you're getting up into like 15, 16, 17 hours to go through it all.
Wow, okay.
I have no real clue. I don't really know because I know I know that playing through it without the expansions was already at least 6 hours, if not more, playing through it without the two expansions that are included. Adding another, I'm not sure. That looks like one expansion adds 4 more rounds of play. I'm not sure. Certainly going to add more
Okay.
time. Oh, it says it's 2 hours for each expansion.
Okay. That's still a lot of time.
I would still double the amount they have.
The one thing about the website when you go buy it on the website, it seems to be a little weird. I add the game and the two expansions to the shopping cart, but the expansions don't get added. And then for some reason, then when I click the checkout button, then gave me an option to add them, and I added them again, and then it worked. So it's a little weird, but you could get there. Oh yeah, two copies, and the shipping is still only $11.
So do a group purchase.
Yeah, that seems like a reasonable option, honestly.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is a really cool game, Julius.
I think so. I
Looks
think they've done a
interesting.
really neat thing with it, and I definitely want to see more coming out of this system.
Do you know if this came out via Kickstarter or anything at all? Or is it just something they printed a bunch of copies and we'll see how it goes?
They have made no announcements about anything that they're planning to do with it. They just published it.
Oh, okay. That's that doesn't sell as well when you don't tell people about it. But okay.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. This one sounds like that they're just not. This one does not sound like it's getting enough marketing. Market it harder, please.
Yeah. So there you go, folks. You heard it. Buy this game. It's a steal, and it's really fun and addictive.
Very
And you'll
addictive.
get to lose sleep over it. All right. So I don't know. Should we flip out of here? Should we turn over and leave?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening. We love feedback, so we love hearing from you. You can reach me at julius@oneplayerpodcast.com or JLBird on BGG, and Albert can be reached at albert@oneplayerpodcast.com or Fractalute on BGG. Our website is oneplayerpodcast.com with the number 1, and we're also on Twitter at oneplayerpodcast. The intro music is copyright Angus, can be found at jamendo.com. The transition music is copyright by Dan Elduce Pancaldi, whose page is at donpancaldi.com. The One Player Podcast is protected under a Creative Commons share-alike license. Thanks for listening.